So I talk a lot, no surprise, about the problems in our political system in our country today and the divisiveness, etc. And the more I think about it, the more I keep coming back to one of the potential root causes or issues that I think is really at play. And in very simple terms, it appears as if there's been a dynamic shift, right? A kind of a power dynamic, the nature of the relationship shift between us, the people, and politicians. It used to be, well, I don't even know if it used to be, I shouldn't say that, but I think it's intended to be, as we all would expect. We take in information, we see what's happening, we develop opinions, beliefs, views, policies we believe need to be enacted, actions we believe that need to be taken, and we pass that information to the politicians and they act on our behalf, right? Their primary job is acting, right? Taking action, doing the work, making the change, driving the policy that the people have asked for. Somehow along the way, that seems to have switched and gotten kind of messed up, where politicians now are communicating to us, talking to us, in many cases telling us what we should feel, how, what policies we need. It's a strange dynamic if you really think about it. How much time, whether it be through social media or interviews or speeches or press conferences that are given, how often politicians are pushing information at us. And don't get me wrong, there's certainly a need for politicians to be held accountable and answer questions and tell us what their plans are. But I would argue in a much, much smaller form than it is now. The volume in which we hear from politicians, and a lot of it is social media, but it does go beyond that, it's created this dynamic shift, I believe, to where it appears as if politicians now believe their function is to guide us. In many ways, the implicit assumption in their actions appears to be like, hey, we know better than you. Trust us. We've got this. We know what needs to happen. We'll tell you what it needs to be, how you should feel about the post office situation or the protests and the riot situation or the COVID situation. We'll let you know what you should be mad about, what you should be worried about. And then we'll do what we need to do. We'll just keep you informed in the process. Well, that's not how this is supposed to be. In theory, the media, and I've talked about the media a bunch, and obviously there's issues there, but in theory, the media is the one passing us the information. In an objective manner, they're letting us know what's happening in our country, in the world, all these different things, and we use that information to form our beliefs and what we think needs to happen. And again, then we pass it to the politicians, and they act on it, right? The cliche thing, right? They work for us, we don't work for them. They represent us, they act on our behalf. We are the driving force behind it. Again, almost by definition, in the way that should function, they should never be telling us things. I mean, the amount of politicians, the president, obviously, maybe the number one perpetrator of this, but you can go down the line between senators and House of Representatives and governors and mayors and all different types of politicians that are actively on social media every day telling us about something that happened or what some other politician did or what they believe is happening here and that we need to do this and we need to do that. No. The only thing you really need to do is listen and understand what the people are asking for, right? We're a democracy in theory. The majority in theory decides what happens. Like, sure, you run a campaign and you're elected on a certain platform, and that is your mandate in general, right? That's what you're expected to act upon. But the day after the election, it switches. And now it's, okay, you're working towards those policies, but as the dynamics changes, the environment changes, as new things come in theory, you should be looking to us to understand, are we still staying the path? Are we going down the same road, or did things change a little bit here? Should we pivot? Should we switch? Let me know, because obviously I act on your behalf. Not, we got it. Like we understand better. You couldn't understand the complexity of this, so just trust us. We need to do this, or we need to make this change. What? That's completely backwards from what it's designed to be, in theory, what our system is meant to be, right? We feed the information to the politicians. They don't feed it to us. And again, I say in very practical terms, the volume in which we hear from them should be the red flag here. I always talk about instruments. When we're looking at a complex situation or a system, you need some instruments to help you understand. Like, am I thinking about this right? How do I check this and make sure that I'm assessing this in the right way? Well, just look at the pure volume and think about it logically. Why do we need to hear from politicians that much? Whatever their actions are, they could state, we could read about it. If something's changing, they could tell us, right, that they're taking this action or that action. And if we have a problem, we'll tell them. We don't need to hear from them every day on Twitter. It's created this view, I think, where I'm not sure that they went into it with this intended purpose, but because of the nature of it, and now that they have the opportunity to be so vocal, and just the trend has started, it seems to have changed it in their minds as well, as whereas they believe they're doing the right thing. Yeah, this is my job. I need to let the people know what's wrong. Again, I would say you absolutely do not. We will figure out what's wrong. If we have a functioning media, we will figure that out, and we'll let you know what to do about it. Anytime a politician is on social media or anywhere telling us what we should be thinking, unless it's a campaign, and you can even debate whether campaigns are the right way, but put campaigns aside. Once it's just the response to a certain situation or how we should feel about something, or we should be mad at this or we should be worried about that, anytime that's happening, something has broken bad, something has gone wrong in the system in the way which it's intended. So for politicians, the message has to be, the call to action has to be, go back to what this is intended to be. Go back to the principles that this is built on. Act on behalf of the people. Make sure you understand what the people want and let them drive the conversation. You are there to deliver that action. You're in no way there to guide them or tell them or know better than them. That's just not how it's supposed to work.